Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had a wonderful week, and I have a very special mental health moment for you today because I have someone that wanted to say hello to you all. Someone who is very near and dear to my heart, brings me a lot of joy. So I'm going to give them a quick moment to say hello to you all. And thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So do you want to come and say hi? Okay. All right. Say hi, everyone. So these people that are watching, they're people from all over the world, and they're learning how to be better versions of themselves and learning how to take care of themselves. So anything else you want to say? All right. Thank you. All right. So that was my kiddo, the kiddo that I talk about a lot on Mental Health Moment. But he wanted to say hi to you all today. But thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your Mental Health Moment. And today I wanted to talk to you all about tips to deal with anxiety. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Hi and welcome. And I'll be sure to show him all your messages afterwards, after Mental Health Moment. But I want to talk to you about anxiety because it seems like the past couple of years have been so heavy. There's been so much globally that has been impacting all of us, right, in our mental health. And one of the things that is really difficult to comprehend is how we get through everything. So it's been the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been the murder of George Floyd, which throughout the globe, there was a huge response to that. There was racial trauma. There were protests. Now we have a war happening that everybody is seeing pretty difficult videos to watch and things that are very weighing heavy on us as a community, right? So it just feels like the last couple of years, there's been so many things back to back to back to back happening, right? The hard thing about that is it has led to a lot more anxiety. But the good news is that there really are a lot of options actually for dealing with anxiety if this is impacting you or someone that you know. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Last week we talked about how to deal with depression, and this week I want to tell you all a couple of tips of how to manage anxiety. So one of the things that's really important to understand about anxiety is it can be there's two different types of anxiety, really. One is very fleeting. So it's, you have a little bit of anxiety, you're okay, minimal, it's mild, kind of comes and goes. But the other type of anxiety can be very chronic, very long lasting, very, very impactful on your day-to-day functioning. But no matter which category you may be experiencing or someone that you know, it's really, really important to make sure that you're doing your best to utilize anxiety management techniques at home. And again, as I always say, if the tips that I'm giving you, all the things to try at home, is not enough, then maybe you might need to reach out to a mental health professional to get even more intensive type of treatment, or even further tips. Maybe it's something you want to do one-on-one, or something you want to do with a family member. But one of my first tips for you to deal with this anxiety is really to think about what is a calming word or phrase or like image that you can think of. Maybe it's even a sound or a song, because what happens with anxiety is your brain can just be on overload. Like, you are overwhelmed. Anxiety will make you think all sorts of things that are not true. What if this happens? What if that happens? All of these things that come up, the vast majority of things you worry about will never even happen, which I know logically many of you understand that, but anxiety will make you feel like it will happen. Like There's something we call catastrophizing in the mental health profession, which is when just something that you think of the worst possible scenario that has like a 0.1% chance of happening, right? But your brain is stuck on that, like it's really going to happen, which high chance it's not going to happen, right? But that's what anxiety can do to you. So the first tip, as I mentioned, is to really think about what is, and you can put it in the comments. But for you, maybe you already have that or you want to establish that. But what is that word? What is that phrase? Or maybe it's an image you can think about, or a song you can think about, but something to shift your brain from all of that angst and the what if and why is this happening and who and why and where. Like it can be too much, right? That's what anxiety does. So again, put it in the comments here. And actually last week, many of you know who've tuned into Mental Health Moment for a while here know that I'm often on the road working on some project or another. But last week I was on a very turbulent flight. So I'm on a flight almost every single week, and I am not a nervous flyer, but this flight was literally the worst flight I've ever been on. And I was like, and for those of you who also know about me, I am not a morning person. So this, of course, was a 5:30 a.m. flight where I thought I was just going to get on this plane ride. I was just going to go to sleep, till I reach my connection spot. Of course not. Nope, did not sleep at all because it was so turbulent, and it was just terrifying. It was just horrible weather. When a pilot says, "By the way, this is not the greatest day to fly," before you start flying, I'm like, I wish you didn't say that to me, but nonetheless, thankfully, this amazing gentleman who was sitting next to me, I was doing my best trying to do my own deep breathing, right, as a psychologist, and practice my own skills that I teach you all. But it was a terrible storm, terrible flight. And I remember the gentleman next to me, he was like, "Oh," he was like, "just think of it as a bumpy ride." Like that's what he told me, right? And for me, those words, that phrase, like, okay, it's a bumpy ride. It's just a bumpy ride. It's just a bumpy ride. Those were the things I was telling myself, which really, it really just changed the way I thought about everything. And it was actually really calming, surprisingly very calming. Now the gentleman next to him decided to chime in too. And was like, "Just think of it as a roller coaster." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. That's not helping me. I'm not going to think of this as a roller coaster because I'm in the sky and we're not supposed to be on a roller coaster on a plane." So those words were not calming for me. But just again, thinking of it as a bumpy ride was something that for me it worked. So so my point is thinking of whatever situation you're in, thinking of that calming word. A phrase that I use throughout my life is keep going, keep growing, keep going, keep growing. Like those are phrases, or again, words, or something, an image, things that you can utilize to really move through anxiety. Because as I mentioned, anxiety, your brain would just tell yourself things that are not true. But when you start to disrupt that process of anxiety in your brain, and you can shift your focus to something that is calming to soothe yourself, that is one way that you can work to reduce your anxiety. Um, and thanks for thanks for those who are still starting to tune in here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Some of you all said relax, telling yourself to relax. Some of you said to breathe. My new favorite word that I'm frequently aware of, catastrophizing. Yes, many of us do it. We're all guilty of it in some ways. I remember, it just because I was just a more anxious kid. So even I was in elementary school, and like if I got a B, this is another example of catastrophizing, like getting a B on a test, thinking like, "Oh my God, I'm never going to be a doctor one day," which has nothing to do with it. If I could look back on my younger self, self-care and mental health and all those things, unfortunately, were not talked about as much as they should have been when I was a kid. But I would just want to tell my younger self, it's okay. Like it's okay not to get an A on everything. Like it doesn't mean your life is over because you didn't get this good grade. And kids do it too, but especially as adults, it's just a situation that you catastrophize, you think of the worst possible scenario. Again, 99% of the time is not even going to happen. But but yes, that is a term that we use a lot in the field when we're talking about anxiety. Someone said the song Amazing Grace. That's beautiful. That's another thing that you can do sometimes. I know for some people they have said just being in a like a calm room, maybe with dim lights help, listening to music. I know someone said Amazing Grace or whatever song for you is calming to try to reduce your blood pressure, try to reduce your anxiety that you're experiencing. Someone said, I have everything I need just for today. Wonderful. And the taking a walk is grounding, centering, enlightening. I love that. Yes, exercise too, or any type of movement, frankly, because movement comes in different forms, is also really good to help with your anxiety and depression too. But today we're talking about anxiety. And and I do and I do want to remind you that anxiety comes in different forms. So for some of you, I know some of you in the comments here said like, anxiety is taking a toll on me. Some of you may be experiencing anxiety in a physical sense. So like the heart racing or your heart racing or like a stomach ache or like even feeling like faintish, uh, all of those types of like more physical things, sweating, things like that, physical elements could be a sign of anxiety, right? But there's also the mental part of it, which is what I was telling you about before, which a lot of people have the what ifs, the why did this happen? I should have done this. Why is this happening to me? I'm so fill in the blank. All of those types of things that sometimes keep you up at night because of how much the thoughts are affecting you. And sometimes for some people anxiety happens both ways, like mentally and physically. So it really comes in different forms. Someone said journaling your thoughts of emotions of the moment, digesting what you wrote sometimes de-escalates you. Yes, it absolutely can. For those of you who love writing, for those of you who want to, nowadays it's so cool. I feel like back in my day when I was growing up, there was no apps or anything like that. We just did old school, like writing things down and journaling. But nowadays you can be on your phone. I mean, there's so many journal apps if you're an electronic person, or you can go old school and use a sheet of paper or use a notebook and jot down how you're feeling and jot down, I call it like the brain dump. So all the things for those of you who are overwhelmed and have so much anxiety, I have to do these things that are happening, brain dump, and literally just find a time period during the day to write everything down that you need to do. It doesn't mean you'll do all of them, but it gets it out of your head sometimes because that can also cause a lot of anxiety. So making sure you, again, take the 10, 15 minutes or however long you need to jot everything down, and then start to prioritize that list. Because there could be, I don't know, 20 things you write down. Obviously we can't get everything done, right? But we can get it out of our head. So those thoughts are not swimming around and causing more anxiety. Someone said, I always speak out loud, this too shall pass. What a beautiful phrase. Absolutely. And those are the things, listen, sometime, hopefully, you have people around you who are championing you, who are supportive of you, which is amazing if you do. But even if you don't, you sometimes have to be your own cheerleader. Okay. You have to be, just like that person said, like building yourself up, especially when it comes to anxiety, saying things like this too shall pass, saying whatever your phrase is, as I mentioned, you can get through this, like literally being your own cheerleader. You got to do that sometimes, right? We all have to do that. So I love that phrase. And that's something absolutely that, and it's not just that phrase, but it's for you, what resonates in your heart, that, like when you tell yourself this, it works, and you can work to calm down, you can work to be okay. Again, all those types of phrases, that's what is going to help you deal with anxiety. Well, there's one way to help you deal with anxiety. Someone said, I agree, journaling is very helpful. Where God guides, he provides. Absolutely. I sing gospel. That is awesome. That is also a great technique as well. I do sing that well. I sing in the comfort of my home, also, but not in public, because yeah, didn't get that gift. But that's awesome that you sing. That's beautiful. What feels like rejection is really God's protection. Ooh, I love that. I really like that. And that is so true. So we talked about this before on mental health moment, but a lot of things that I have talked to people about when it comes to anxiety is normally something that either you are wanting to happen that has not happened yet, or something you think should have happened or should not have happened in the way that it happened. But either way, to your point, as you were mentioning, sometimes I don't want to get too on my soapbox, but sometimes things happen to us that are really meant for our good, and we don't see it that way at the time. But later on, we find out that it was actually the best thing that could have ever happened. So I really want you to think about allowing that philosophy into your life, because it can really help when it comes to anxiety as well. If you believe, and I don't want to get, I mean, on mental health moment, I totally respect everyone and your spiritual or religious beliefs, no matter what that looks like. But on a bigger scheme of things, if you really believe that the things that are happening for you are for your benefit, it can really help to reduce some of the anxiety of why isn't this happening or why isn't that happening. So yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. Blessings to you as well. Someone said listening to music and walking. Love that. Good evening to you as well. Meditation. Woo. I'm glad someone brought that up. So meditation. So I want to talk briefly about that. Just very briefly, that meditation is not what most people think that it is. Meditation does not have to mean you are literally meditating for 4 to 5 hours. Meditation does not have to mean you have to clear out every single thought in your head and you just have a clear mind. For some people, that is really difficult to do. But what meditation can be, if you're a beginner in this, is literally, and I always tell you all this, but literally 60 seconds. Literally take a minute, uh, just to work on recentering, refocusing, deep breathing. That in and of itself, just as a start, can make a world of difference, because when you train your mind to stop for 60 seconds, all of us have 60 seconds in a day. It really starts to allow you to manage anxiety differently. And again, for some of you, you may be more advanced with meditation, which is cool too. And maybe you are meditating for an hour, 2 hours, or however long. So there's no right or wrong to it. It's just about doing what is best for you. So whether it's a 60 seconds or 60 minutes or somewhere in between, just taking the time, taking some downtime can really help when it comes to anxiety. So thank you for bringing that up. Blessings to you as well. Someone said listening to gospel music calms my spirit. Blessings to you. Listening to meditation sounds. Yes, I listen to a lot of Fred Hammond's music to relax me. A light workout. I love it. Let's see. Examples are, someone says song and calming words or phrase. Yes, I love my affirmations. I love it. I get brain fog at times. Yes, that's actually happening a lot lately. There's a lot of research about that, and what is happening to a lot of people, in case you're experiencing that too, just being so anxious, being overwhelmed, feeling like you're in a brain fog, is because there has been so much information that we have had to process over the last couple of years. So no matter where you live in the world, COVID-19 may look a bit different. I mean, just different, whether it comes to vaccines or masks or where you're at with the recovery of the COVID-19 pandemic, but still having to deal with all the things that we were dealing with, having to worry about our loved ones, having to worry about getting sick, having to, the world shutting down. Like, there's so many different parts that our brains are still processing right now. I mean, this, again, I know wherever you live in the world, it may look a little different, but we're literally still processing this. So that's why for a lot of people, there have been some complaints about brain fog and just feeling so overwhelmed on top of your personal life, right? It's the global things that are happening and your own personal life. So it's a lot to manage. So again, as I always say, please take care of yourself. Mhm. Someone said no cheering with pom poms. I'm not sure what that means, but But I will, if you want to use pom poms to cheer for yourself, it's all good. But definitely, yes, sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader. Um, Someone says suppress the bad conscious voice. And sometimes and we did a mental health moment about that. So you can always check out past episodes on my YouTube page. But sometimes it's hard when it comes to negative self-talk. Sometimes it's really hard because so many of us we're inundated with negative thoughts. But again, as you mentioned, it's a practice to work on how to manage those thoughts and work on how to manage the anxiety. So again, thinking about thinking about making sure to have your word, your phrase, your song, or your practice, right, to work on calming yourself, and not just in the times when you're anxious, but just in general to deal with life, is such a great way to think about re-entering the world, if you will, because we've all been sort of sheltered over the last couple of years with COVID-19 pandemic. But as we're coming out of that, and again, re-entering social spaces and reintegrating into the world, whatever that looks like for you, it's just really important that you add to your practice, your wellness practice, of how to manage all of the anxiety that you may be experiencing. Someone said being surrounded by good friends helps. It absolutely does. And again, we all have different levels of support. Some of you are like, I have the greatest friends in the world. Some of you are like, I need more friends. Like, don't never judge where you're at in your wellness journey. The most important thing is to utilize the resources you have. So if you're like Dr. Hammond, I am isolated. I am not in a relationship. I don't have any friends, family, like, no one to support me. Then you work right now on how to best support yourself, right? And maybe for you, that's a spiritual practice or religious practice to feel and understand there's a higher being that affects you or not. But also you and your thoughts and working on your own anxiety is something that can really impact you positively, if there's no one around you. And if there are people around you, then of course that's amazing, and reach out to them and allow them to support you in this journey that we all have of life. And someone said tuning into Black Women Empowered Incorporated in various programs has helped me over the years. I love to hear that. We love to hear that, actually. And a big shout out to Dr. Jackie King, who's an amazing individual who started who started Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page a little over 10 years ago. And of course, it's grown now to millions of people throughout the world. So big shout outs to her. And that's the reason for Mental Health Moment being on this platform, and just her recognizing how important mental health is on this platform. So I'm extremely grateful to her. So reach out to her if you know her, and if not, find her on social and make sure you say thank you to her. And I always promise you all, every week I will let you know where I'm speaking next. So the next place will actually be in Miami, Florida, and it will be on, make sure I give you the right date, Sunday, April 17th. So Sunday, April 17th at 6 p.m. If you are in the Miami, Florida area, I will be doing my TEDx talk on the future of children's mental health and what that looks like and how we can best support children. So I will put that information also in the body of the YouTube replay on my YouTube page. So you'll have that information if you are in the area. Also, if you need me at any time, you can always reach me at drnikishahammond.com, or reach out on any social media platform, connect, send me a message. If you need resources, feel free to reach out. If you need a mental health professional or any wellness or mental health related resources, I'm happy to do my best to connect you to someone. And if you're new to Mental Health Moment, welcome. But if you've been tuning in every week, welcome back. And just as a reminder, every first Tuesday of the month is dedicated specifically to children's mental health. So just a reminder for that. If you all need me, you know where to reach me, drnikishahammond.com. And I will see you all next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Mental Health, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page and LinkedIn page and YouTube Live. So have an amazing week. Take care of yourselves. Don't forget to find or utilize that word or phrase or image or song to work on reducing your anxiety. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.